Hey guys. So this is a little bit more weirder of a video style for me to do. I don't typically do videos like this. This is not my traditional style of recording or getting in front of a microphone. There's a reason why I'm doing these videos kind of in this particular order. Um, it might be weird why I'm doing this first and then why the next video, if you'll notice, hopefully uploaded the same day. There's going to be a video of what the channel is actually about and what the full plan of the channel is going to be. Um, I've had this little project in mind for a while, and I didn't put it into start. I didn't shift the gear into it until last night on stream when I was playing Black Ops 6. Um, it really felt nostalgic to me, and I felt the only way to properly do this was to kind of just kick myself in the ass about it. Um, if you are coming on to hear, the at this current moment, I only have 3 subscribers, and they're all close friends. So I guess this is kind of more like an update for them. But if you find this video by any means, it probably means you like a lot of Call of Duty content, similar to like the Weekly Slap or old Vanos Crew videos. So I mean, if you found this video, hey, welcome, and I'll give you the rundown here. Um, this video is kind of just about like kind of my process of going through loss. Um, 2 years ago, almost May 10th, it'll be 2 years. I lost my father to lung cancer. That's been the roughest part of my life so far for the past 2 years. And it's not even just graduating high school or going through college or even becoming an adult without my dad. I was 17 when I lost him. It's trying to figure out everything that's coming after that too. Um, I'm trying to do a lot, but I'm taking more than I'm mentally ready to handle. And part of why I want to do this too is to kind of reconnect with him. Um, in the next video, I'll explain all the plans and everything that's going to happen with the channel, but I want to also talk about like my process of going through loss and that whole story. Um, so about 3-4 years ago, when this all started, this whole cancer journey, um, my dad woke up in the middle of the night unable to breathe. He was literally unable to breathe. It felt like he was suffocating. And like every hour he would wake up and need to hit an inhaler just so he could breathe. He had an inhaler for the allergy seasons when it would get really rough for him to breathe. So he still had it. It was like kind of the start of summertime, so he had a full inhaler, and he was literally reliant on this thing just to survive through the night. And he kind of came to the realization of you idiot, you're fucking killing yourself. You're smoking yourself to death essentially, and you've known you've been doing it, but now it's hitting. You can't keep living like this. Um, so he put the cigarettes down. He never looked back on that, at least for a while. Because a few months later, we started noticing a lot of game changers with my dad. He was losing weight, drastically losing weight more than normal. And people at work were commenting on it. It was really noticeable. And fucking, it got to the point where we were about to go on vacation, and my dad just said he wanted to get through the vacation first before he received any bad news and just enjoy himself for a little bit. So we went down to North Carolina, and we had so much fun down there, seen so many waterfalls, whitewater rafted, and we had a lot of fun. And that was like our vacation every year. And that was the last time that my dad ever did that vacation. A few weeks later, he gets diagnosed with lung cancer, which I was very aware that would be the case with the weight loss he was having and how long he smoked. I knew he was going to be diagnosed with cancer. The worst part is that only about 5-6 years at that point was when my grandpa passed away. So 6 years prior to that, we lost my grandpa to cancer as well, except he had a different kind. I forget what his kind was. But my uh my dad went through a lot of different types of treatments. He went between two different hospitals. The first hospital he did radiation at and got no results. He went to a different hospital and they put him on chemotherapy. And we actually started to see results. The tumor was shrinking. Until the tumor realized. So, to explain this too, because I completely skipped over that and I'm so sorry. The cancer was a tumor in his lung that was taking up 75% of it. Imagine that. Imagine having this mass and only one of your lungs that takes up 75% on it. So you can't just go in and remove the damn thing. You'd be removing the whole lung. And they didn't want to put him on a transplant list. I'm pretty positive the reason of that was that they didn't want to risk the cancer leaking and getting into his blood system and making it worse. They didn't want to take any risks on that, and they wanted to try to avoid surgery at all costs possible. So radiation did nothing. Chemotherapy actually started working. This tumor started shrinking, gradually shrinking. It made a great progress, and things were looking up. We all were looking on the bright side. Until one day my dad gets really dizzy and he starts falling. He can't walk. He's collapsing. He's nauseous. And we take him in and they do an MRI and we found a tumor in his brain. We need to operate on it, like, right away. So they schedule him for his surgery and they put my dad on steroids. So it left my dad unable to drive, but he could actually walk around the house. He could shower. He could stand up on his own. He could be independent, but he just couldn't drive himself. So during a lot of these too, like during his treatments, I got a lot of time with my dad while I was doing driver's training, just getting to sit and talk with him for a while and getting to bond with him, which was awesome. And I definitely do cherish that time. My dad was the greatest driver that I fucking knew. There's no way in hell about that. There's no doubt in my mind about that. I will always know he's the greatest driver I will ever know. So I was really glad that I got to learn from him and take some of those experiences with me. During our time in Florida, my dad picked up smoking a little bit again because he didn't know if there would ever be a past brain surgery for him because the tumor was right by a vein. Knowing that made this surgery a lot more risky and dangerous to operate. So we had an awesome Florida vacation, like an amazing trip to Florida. Dad never went to Florida. He never seen the ocean. He wanted to see the ocean, and he wanted to do one last vacation just in case with his two sons. So we went. We had an amazing time. We played golf. He had margaritas on the beach, dipped his toes in the sand, and just had a good time. And it was a new experience for him. So the operation was a little bit after the Florida trip. We get home, unpack our shit, and then the next week was the surgery date. And it was a long time waiting in the hospital for several hours. We were in the hospital the whole day. And it was a long time waiting just to make sure he'd come out of there. And that's stressful too. Like, especially when you're a 17-year-old and this could be it. That could have been it. That could have been the last day that I ever spent with him. The last hug I ever gave my dad. The last time I ever told him I love you. It wasn't, though. He came out of the surgery just fine. Literally the next day, so they had him down in his bed. He was getting rest, coming off the anesthesia, and they kept him in the hospital for about a week. So me and Mom were constantly going to visit him. Brought him carving tools. My dad was a wood carver. He loved carving. Literally the next day after brain surgery, fucking trooper. He's walking, he's standing up, he's going to the bathroom on his own, not needing really any assistance. And he's carving. He's got his little tools and he's just chipping away at these blocks of wood while in the hospital, because that's really all he could do. I didn't know this at the time, but our time in the hospital during my dad's brain surgery, I didn't really realize what happened until we got home. But a close friend of mine and someone that my dad mentored passed away. I'm not going to go into too many details about that, but he was a senior in high school and he just turned 18. And I broke down hard about that, and so did my dad. That broke my dad's heart. And especially too, I had plans to go hang out with him during the summer. I had so many plans with him during the summer. We were like ready to like take out a whole month and go play golf and hang out and just chat with each other for a while. And our plans got cut short. Really short. I didn't know that several months later I would lose my dad. Um, my dad got put on this new medication, and it was to help get past the membranes that's around your brain, that layer of membrane. What we didn't know at the time until after, or not after, but before the surgery, the reason why the cancer retreated to his head and a tumor was formed there is because chemotherapy drugs can't get to the brain. That layer of brain prevents chemotherapy drugs. So the tumor found a safe spot and retreated to that. Because of the shrinkage in his lung with the tumor, his lung was collapsing. These pills knocked him on his ass. And May 10th, the morning of May 10th, it's 4 in the morning, I wake up to EMS outside of my door. And, I'm losing my shit because I'm thinking, oh God, this is it. My dad just passed away last night. It was not the case. My dad started coughing up blood, and he blacked out, and my mom called 911, and they rushed him to the hospital. I stayed with him in the hospital until 4 in the morning, and then Mom had me go home with my grandma, because my grandma started falling asleep in the hospital. So, the ambulance comes up, the whole neighborhood gets woken up, and we get graded. We get greeted by my neighbor. He comes out, he's comforting us. I call Lily my most amazing girlfriend, and she didn't come over right away, and it doesn't make sense for her to come over right on the bat at 9 in the morning, but I told her what happened, that Dad was coughing up blood. I had no clue on his current status, but he blacked out. He went to the hospital. She tells her mom, who's awake for whatever reason, and she gets to take off school that day. Me and Mom calls my grandma. Grandma comes up, picks us up. We all drive to the hospital together. I get to the hospital. I call my brother. My brother shows up. And we're all spending some time with him in the hospital. You could only, because of where he was at, because he was in the ER, kind of that room that they have, because there were too many other people there and they wanted to leave open for other visitors too, because it was a public space, not a private room. They would only allow 2 visitors at a time. So we all traded turns back and forth going and talking with Dad when he was awake, and you could tell his body was just exhausted. He kept falling back asleep. Mom sends me home at 4 in the morning because Grandma was falling asleep at the hospital, and I go home. I go to sleep on the couch. I wake up at around 8 in the morning. It was like something woke me up. It was like, you need to wake up now. I had a feeling I needed to be awake. And I look at my phone, and I missed several calls from Mom. I call her back, and she's in tears, and she's saying, I need to get to the hospital now. I get to the hospital, and what I didn't know was going on behind the scenes is that they were giving my dad CPR because his heart stopped. They sat him up to move him into his own room, and he started coughing up blood again. He was bleeding internally from his lungs. There was a tear in his lungs, and he was hemorrhaging. We didn't know that when we took him to the hospital, and they didn't check him for that. They didn't scope him out or anything, which I'm really pissed off about. But there's no going back on that now, I guess, and arguing with people. I guess there's no way in hell I can do that because it's all in the past. And, I remember being brought back in. My Aunt Cece was there. She was there visiting my mom in the morning. She brought her coffee and brought my dad coffee. And we get brought back into this room. And I know because they're not taking us to see my dad, I already know it's bad news. And my mom comes into the room. And the first thing she says, she looks me dead in the eyes and goes, "I'm sorry." And I was crushed. And then the doctor gives me the bad news that his heart stopped and that they were trying so hard. And that my mom was there the whole time. She was holding his hand, but they couldn't get his heart to beat. And that he passed away. I remember being brought into a room and getting to see my dad, and that was hard. I didn't want to let him go. I just was hugging him the whole time. Part of why I'm doing this is I need to talk about it more. I can't keep everything bottled up, and I want to be open to about my experiences and what happened. I'm not really typically a private person about it. If people ask me questions, I'm always happy to answer questions. I'm so lucky that I had Lily there. I texted her at the hospital. I called my brother and I sent her a text. And I let her know that my dad had passed away. Several hours later, she's at my doorstep. They didn't want her to rush over there right away. Her parents were like, "Just wait a little bit, wait till he's home, wait till he's settled, and then we're going to take you over there." And it pretty much was to the point where I was at home, and she kept asking me if I needed anything, and I kept telling her, "I don't know, I don't know, I don't know." I was just broken. I was crying. I couldn't get my ass off the floor. I was pacing around the house. And, I was also moving bloody sheets to the basement. I didn't feel like mom needed to deal with that as soon as she got home from the hospital after holding her husband's hand while he passed away in a really unpleasant way. It got to the point where Lily just says, "Fuck it, I need to go over there," and her mom drives her over, and she spent the rest of the day with me. Going through that whole rest of the day was hard. The weeks to come were hard. Planning his funeral was hard. And being my dad's pallbearer was hard. The day we lost him was May 10th, and my birthday is August 29th. I was a junior in high school. It was 3 months before my 18th birthday. So the moments when I really needed my dad the most, I lost him. Another interesting thing happened that summer too, not just losing my dad. I lost a mentor of mine too that year. There's this teacher at my high school. It was his first year teaching, but I've never seen a person more dedicated to teaching in my whole life. He was a student at that high school, and his dream was to go back and teach and be an inspiration to a generation. And in a year, he did that. In a fucking year. How many people can say that? They did college, they went through all this other jobs, and then they found themselves at the spot where they were living the dream, and a whole year inspired a group of students. Even students that he didn't teach. When he had to do a credit recovery class and he wasn't teaching those students still fucking loved him. And he inspired those students too. So even people he wasn't teaching an actual lesson to, where they had to sit into a whole class on a fucking computer, he still reached out and inspired those kids too. That's fucking impressive. Only about a week or two after school gets out, and I just had a talk with this guy too, and I was out for a week. It was right at the end of the school year, and I'm talking to him, and he goes, we were chatting for a while, and he asked me how I'm doing, and I wasn't going to lie to him. I'm not a liar. I don't like lying to people. He asked me how I'm doing, and I go, "I'm really not doing that good." And he asked why, and I explained to him that I just lost my dad to lung cancer. And he starts asking all these questions, and he goes, "I remember exactly what he said. I will always remember what he told me." He goes, "As a teacher, I should not be telling you this, but there are more important things in your education. You need to take time for you." I am now in that point where I'm realizing I do need to take a break from education, and that I do need to take a break kind of from life a little bit, and I need to work on myself. And this is kind of where the point of this video is getting, and it's the ending content here. I wanted to tell you a story, but the ending of this content as what I want people to take away the most, how I get through loss. And we all get through loss differently, but how have I been getting through this loss? Genuinely, the answer is I haven't. And I'm about to take the time to get through that loss. But the issue is that you can't just get through it within a year. You can't get through it within 10 years. And you got to work through shit on your own. So something that I really want to tell people right off the bat, and my mom's been having issues with this from several people, and I've been dealing with some of it at work, but what I want to tell people is that loss has to be dealt with on your own time. And you have to grieve your way, but you also have to make sure you're healthily grieving and not unhealthily grieving. There's a point to it. And you got to make sure that you're not crossing that threshold. For the reason of, you need to still be your best for that person that you lost. And I'm about to take the time to work on it. And I know for a fact I am never going to move on from this. But I also know I need to be the best person that I can be. I am so grateful that I have had Lily here throughout my whole experience. And genuinely, those people that stick around the most, the people that truly care, the people that ask you questions, the people that check up on you all the time, that make sure you're doing okay, those people that you're in a relationship with, that come to your side. My friend David, that I stream with, is my best friend, and I have to give him a shout out because every month he was calling me, he was texting me. He was one of the only few people that came back out of all my friends that came back so often and checked up on me. Those are the people you hang on to. Those are the people that get you through your rough shit. I am so grateful that I have a David in my life. I am so grateful that I have Lily in my life, who took time off of school and work to be by my side, to help me get through this, and not just help ease me through this, go through every single fucking step with me. She made herself every part of that as she could. She sat with my family in church during his funeral, and she's not a church person. She was there by my side 100% of the way to pick up the pace and to help me walk again when I was knocked on my ass. And without her, I would not be standing here. I would not be in front of this microphone and recording this video. I would not be streaming Call of Duty content. I am at a point in life where I want to memorialize him, and I've done that a few ways for my Eagle Scout project. Woo woo, I am an Eagle Scout. Dad would be so proud of me for that. But years and years and years ago, my dad got me an Xbox 360 for I think it was Christmas. And then years later, the Xbox One came out, and he got me an Xbox One. And me and my dad made the account Old Sniper 269. And that has stayed my Activision account, and it stayed my username for Activision for so long. And I don't plan on changing it ever. I have never planned on changing it. It will always be Old Sniper. So in a way, I want to memorialize him. And because this was his account, and it was our account, and my dad loved Call of Duty. That's the first game I ever played. I remember playing Call of Duty 3 with my dad for the first time, and him letting me do all the Jeep missions, and then he finally let me play the campaign. Call of Duty was my first, actual video game I played. And it opened my eyes to a whole world of video games, and I thought my life would have just been Call of Duty, but my eyes opened up ever since then, and I've gotten into Minecraft and all this other shit, and it's amazing. It's so amazing. And I'm so grateful that my dad kind of showed me that path and showed me video games and shit like that and showed me Call of Duty. So in a way, this channel is to memorialize him. So if you look out for the next video, it's going to specifically be talking about what type of content we have on here, but the reason why I'm making this channel is to honor my dad's memory and to kind of relive a nostalgic moment. When I was playing Black Ops 6, it felt really nostalgic to kind of jump into it. And some of the gameplay mechanics and some of the styles and how things were running and stuff they added back to the game Felt really nostalgic. So I hope you will join me on this ride. And if you found this channel and you stumbled upon it because you just like watching Call of Duty and somehow I came across your page, leave a fucking subscribe, leave a follow, comment, and maybe we can play games together at some point. I am very open to meeting new people and playing games. So if you're a new person and you want a game, hit me up. Follow me on social media. Twitter, Blue Sky, all that. Instagram. It should all be Zenario5. Um, if you are interested in seeing me Twitch stream and all that and seeing where a lot of the footage may come from, follow me at Zenario5 on Twitch. But that is all I have for you guys today. Or at least for right now. I hope you guys have an amazing day. I love you guys, and I will see you later. Peace out. One more shout out I want to give really quickly. Shout out to my friend Daniel, who's been a brother to me like this whole time and since middle school. He's always had my back. And Daniel, I love you. I had to give you a little special shout out on your own. Thank you so much for the years that you've given me as a friend and for being a brother to me. And shout out to my brother as well. You know, even though we've had our roughs up and down moments, you know, he's still my brother and we always have worked it out. So to all my brothers out there, because there's more than just those two, but I wanted to specifically shout out those two in general because, um, you know, my brother is always stuck by my side, and I've been getting a lot closer with him, and me and Daniel have been hanging out a lot more too. So I just want to give a shout out to those two and to all those friends of mine that are like a brother to me. You know who you are. Thank you for being by my side, and thank you for being my friend. I love you guys. Bye bye.